One of the great unsolved questions in science is whether or not there is life somewhere else in the universe. Now, one question to ask yourself is, if there is, how would we know? What would it take to convince you? It may seem straightforward to identify what's living. For example, you and I are alive, but this sheet of paper is not. So how do we know what to look for if we're looking on another planet? Now, scientists don't all agree on how to define life, but NASA uses a very specific definition, and that is a self-sustaining chemical system capable of Darwinian evolution. Now, there's a lot packed into that one sentence, so let's try to break it down a bit. By self-sustaining, we mean it's able to reproduce on its own. It can make copies of itself. Chemical system means it can undergo chemical change. An example of that is metabolism that gives us our energy. Darwinian evolution means a lot, but the key point here is that there's some sort of information, such as a genetic code, that is inherited and has variation. That variation allows things to evolve and adapt to changes in the environment around them. So how do we test for that? Now, it's hard to notice evolution happening in a given moment, so it's a little more straightforward to test for the chemical system. That is, are there chemicals present that participate in the reactions that are essential to life as we know it? And are there molecules that might support the biological information transfer, such as the carbon-based ones that make up our DNA? Now, one place that scientists have been looking for these things for over 45 years is Mars. Why Mars? One of the main things that people look for in planets that might support life is the presence of water. On Earth, liquid water is essential for life. So if water's present, that planet might have the possible chemistry to sustain life. Now, there's actually no liquid water present on Mars. It's too cold and dry. Water there is either present in the form of ice or water vapor. But Mars wasn't always that way, and there's evidence that once upon a time there was liquid water, and that liquid water might have provided the environment to sustain life. So we've seen pictures of Mars. There's nothing there that's going to come up and introduce itself to us. So the type of life we're talking about is ancient microbial life. That is life that's probably too small to see with our naked eye, that lived a long time ago. Our next big chance to test for this life is when the Perseverance rover lands on Mars. Now, all of the past Mars missions have had some experiments to test for possible life, but this is the main goal of Perseverance, and it's fully outfitted with cutting-edge equipment to do these tests. Its landing site has been specifically chosen to be able to test different geological areas that might have had water. And it has brand new cameras and sensors that'll be able to describe the chemical composition of the surrounding area and detect whether or not there are molecules that might support life. One final goal of Perseverance is to investigate the potential for future human exploration on Mars. Mars's atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide. Can we make oxygen up there? How will spacesuits hold up in the Martian environment? All of these things will be tested. So even if we're unsuccessful at determining whether or not there was past life on Mars, it's possible that through Perseverance, we will be able to show that Mars can indeed sustain life by going there ourselves.